Welcome to Spirit Healer, a Hearthstone Mercenaries Podcast. Your resting point between quests. Let's join our hosts as we talk about this week's events in Hearthstone Mercenaries.
Welcome to Spirit Healer, a Hearthstone Mercenaries Podcast, a podcast focused on taking you through Mercenaries news, updates, and weekly topics to keep you at the top of your Mercenaries game. I am Dragonrider, and this week joined just by Siimba. It is the holidays, so there's a lot of stuff going on for some folks. So unfortunately, we don't have Cinder this week, but that's okay because I think Siimba and I will still have some great things to talk about. But how are you doing this week, my friend?
I think we're doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. It's like 50 degrees in the middle of the United States, so that might not be safe, but it feels nice. You know, I can walk outside with a coat on or a long sleeve. That's great. Christmas was good. I hope everybody had a good holiday, whether you do Christmas or not. Happiness is for everyone. It doesn't have to be with gifts. I don't know. I'm doing really well. I was like sort of non-existent for the past couple weeks, just in general. Like even when I was there, I was not there. You know what I mean? But I feel like I've rebooted now.
Sometimes you need that. You need to take that space. And honestly, I feel like that's a good thing to talk about because I think a lot of people get to that point kind of at this time of year. And like the new year is usually like a new wave of motivation and inspiration for people. Especially a lot of people have like really rough work schedules and just dealing with family and different things like that through like the last 2 months of the year usually. It's very taxing for a lot of people, so it's always good to kind of have that reboot, kind of reset type of time frame. So I'm glad that you're doing a little better. I definitely have felt that for myself as well, so I understand that feeling.
Yeah, everything comes and goes in waves, and sometimes taking it in stride is hard, but like I think that's part of the fun of it too. Sometimes I know that might sound kind of super weird like that. Yeah, not having fun is fun, but I don't know, figuring yourself out, figuring out your loved ones, the people that you're around, the games you play, the show you watch, how is the music I'm listening to affecting me, etc, etc, etc. Like I enjoy that because I feel like if I didn't let myself enjoy any of it, I'd just be tense all the time. Like I'd feel like everything was against me, and so like sometimes it feels like everything's against you, but you can do some not necessarily research, but like meditation, soul searching, reach out to friends, take a break from your games, etc, 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 and be like, hey, I'm probably gonna be here tomorrow. I know a lot of people say like live like there's no tomorrow, and I find that to be kind of detrimental to myself personally. We have gone on an insanely deep tangent here 30 seconds in, but yeah, if I live like I'm going to wake up tomorrow, then I have to view it kind of as like I don't want to leave myself in a position to be disappointed in myself in the morning. Let's like make some people happy and drink our water and stuff.
Yes. Oh, water is good. I have been drinking more water lately, and I'm like, wow, I should do this more often. It feels good to actually have water in my body instead of just coffee and alcohol. It's like, whoa, water.
Or coffee with alcohol, yeah.
Yep, I've done that before too. But yeah, we didn't really have any specific news type of things. There wasn't really any, specific like updates or patches or anything like that. It's again been kind of a calm, just like, lots of people even at Blizzard are away for the holidays and not in the office or even their home office, things like that. So that's okay. It's good to have times like this. One thing that we did want to talk about before we kind of dive into our main topic is just want to at least mention the leaderboard stuff that's going on. I know, Siimba, you're very more like invested in the PvP aspect of stuff, but and I'll say even for Cinder, he messaged in our group chat and was like, yeah, this was what I was worried about with like how do we say this? So basically what's happening is we talked previously how they kind of did an adjustment for the PvP rating system, right? So when you match up and you win, you're going to get rewarded a little bit more than when you lose. And now what we're seeing is a huge jump in the leaderboard stuff. And there's quite a few people now who are all sitting at 14,000 rating. And it seems like some sort of inflation or something is going on here. And I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, over a quarter of the top 200 are all essentially maxed out. And I don't know if once you get there, you can't lose any, or if they just like got to 1400 and stopped playing, or what that is. But it's super insane to me to like look, because, you know, in my head a lot, since I have played a lot of standard, I'm like, oh, okay, like legend rank 1, there can be like a couple legend rank 1s, but it's like rank, you know, 1 through whatever. But these guys 1 through 57 are all 1400. I'm like, oh, that's odd. And I guess odd is kind of the best word that I have to describe it. I don't even know if it's good or bad or broken, or if they're just all insane. You know, like it's interesting to look at for sure, the spread, especially when the bottom half of the top 200 is, you know, 1100.
Yeah, well, 11,000, right? And 14,000.
Yeah, it was an extra zero.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really I see what they were trying to do with like changing that so that people actually feel like they could climb, but it feels like it might have been adjusted too much. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily the thing that needed changed, or if just maybe the rating stuff itself is too much of a stretch. So I'm actually in game. I just want to look at this real quick. So the PvP rewards that you get, if you look at the breakdown, you get a chest at 1,000 rating. Then you get a chest at 2,000. Then at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, then 7,500. Then it jumps to 10,000, and then it jumps to 12,000. I don't know, but I feel like just the balance hasn't been found yet, because before it was like nobody was hitting that, right? The top end. And now it's like there's tons of people who were just able to just seemingly just easily get there. And I don't know if that is actually, like you said, where they should be, because they were the people who were also just grinding, or if it's kind of like just an inflation that isn't actually showing something valid. And I would really hate to be somebody in that situation where if it's not really valid and then feel like you weren't actually that good. That would just be really like demoralizing and like unmotivating.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You know, because like whoever's in 50 whatever place on the leaderboard, do they feel like first? I don't know how I'd feel. I'm not that high up. But like they're all, it's like they're all sharing 14,000 with the 57 way tie. I'm like, oh, participation ribbon for you, participation ribbon for you, participation. I actually don't even know how it would calculate who's like first. Is it like who hit 14,000 first? Or, I mean, I guess we don't have these answers. I'm just kind of asking out loud. Or like who has the most wins while at 14,000 rating. So many questions, so few answers. But it's like after you get below 14,000, which I believe I said was like 57th place, the spread's kind of nice. Like there's not many duplicates. You know, you get 5-10 people at 13,900, 5-10 people at 13,800, all the way down to 11,478. And so I think the lower end of the top 200 are fairly accurate.
Yeah, it's something that has been very interesting to kind of watch, and I don't know if they just tweaked it a little too much the other side or what needs to happen, but it again feels like there needs to be some sort of adjustment for PvP, and don't know what that is myself yet. I don't have a suggestion that I would like to see there, but I'm sure they're looking at it, and we'll continue watching that as well. But especially since Cinder brought it up, and I know it's been something that's been talked about by a lot of players who play a lot of PvP. So definitely something that we'll keep an eye on. Do you have any other thoughts on that before we jump into our main topic?
Not really. I'm super excited to see how / if anything changes after the next reset. I think I'll have to try English. I will have to try hop into PvP myself, and just see if I can get up that high, right? Like if it's as quote unquote easy as it looks. And then if I cannot, have some different thoughts on that. But I haven't been up that high in the MMR to have any other solid thoughts on it besides confusion, head empty, no thoughts.
Right. Well, let's jump into our main topic then. And we wanted to talk about, since this is the very last week of 2021, we thought this could be a really cool chance to actually kind of look back at what Mercenaries has brought to the game in 2021, and also some things that we would like to see from Mercenaries in 2022. Again, this point of the year and starting the new year is always kind of a point of reflection for a lot of people. So why not? Let's jump in. Let's take a look. So first of all, the first thing that Mercenaries brought was the entire new game mode itself, right? Which is crazy to think about because it didn't actually launch until mid-October. And I think we're going to list quite a few things. It's been just over 2 months. It's just, I still can't wrap my mind around that. They've done so much in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, it's been quite. I mean, I would almost consider it hectic. Like the game, it was out, and then there was new stuff, and then there was like, do we run tournaments this year? Then they were like, yes. But I mean, you got to launch stuff at some point, right? Like I know this has nothing to do with the pandemic, but taking into account like businesses and stuff. Like some people had businesses and like, we have to launch this, otherwise we're just leasing space and spending money. So like if they had the game mode and the game mode was ready, like, hey, go ahead and put it out. I know it was also like mid last expansion, so like that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the timing of it in between other expansions, and then they also had to change the pacing of adding the mini set because of the launch of Mercenaries 2. So it was like, it felt like between August when we got United and Stormwind through now the end of the year, it's been like non-stop content. It's been so much, and Mercenaries was definitely a huge part of that. So let's talk about a couple of the things that they actually did. You talked about bringing new stuff in. I'm pretty sure there's been 2 different updates that brought in new mercenaries. Plus, they added the one new mercenary with the expansion reward track that just came out for Fractured and Alterac Valley. Which brings us, they brought a total of 9 new mercenaries to bring it up to 60 total. The launch was 51. Now we're at 60.
Yeah, in 2 months. They were just like, here, have these. We have these ready for you. Gifts, presents.
Yes, exactly. And all of the things that came along with all the mercenaries, right? With like the portraits and holy smokes. It's so much.
And some people who had their like, so I never had my original 51 max. So like as the new stuff coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, like just I'm blindsided. But I know there was a few people who did have their collections maxed, and I know I'm not the only person playing this game mode. I thought it was really cool that the people that were really grinding, whether that be for content or for their own, personal enjoyment, they were able to continuously have new goals and new mercenary set in front of them in, we'll call it a timely manner. I'm not sure how do I want to say this? If they'll be able to upkeep that output, right? Like, yeah. I don't think there's going to be 4 to 5 new mercenaries put out every month for the next 12 months. Like it seems like the game would be, I mean, what is that? 5, 12, 60, 120 mercenaries by the end of next year? Like that, it seems like the game mode would be so big at that point, nobody would know what's going on.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was really nice that they did give us, so many new things. And the one in the expansions reward track was really awesome because people felt like they're like, oh, hey, I can just click on this one. I don't have to open a ton of packs to get literally anything. So it was not necessarily a freebie, but hey, thanks for playing our game. We'd like you to also play our other game modes. And seeing as I've played pretty much every single game mode at least once, I was appreciative of that addition into the rewards track.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, too, I mean, I feel like probably the majority of players did not do like what I did. And although there were some of us who, really kind of invested wholeheartedly at the very start, right? We bought all of the bundles. Kind of the opposite of you, right? You're like, I didn't have everything. And I was like, yep, I was one of those people that had everything because I ended up getting so many packs and got all of the bundles and stuff. But I think just things like that, like adding that mercenary, I know we talked about it like last week, but yeah, there's so many reasons why it was fantastic that they added that in. Hey, if you want to try this mode, here's a free mercenary. If you don't want to try the mode, cool, it's just an additional thing. If you already play the mode, it's a free mercenary, it was such a fantastic addition. So I definitely loved that and want to see more of that. But not even just adding new mercenaries. They also did multiple adjustments to both like bug fixes. Well, I mean, it was like constant bug fixes. But they also did multiple times. They did changes to balance some of the mercenaries. One was more of we talked about it a while back, but the like cairn balance adjustments. And then somewhat more recently, it was like that big patch that dropped. Tons of changes, though.
Yeah, those changes were necessary, and I believe that they caught them in a very timely manner because you always want to let your game modes and your releases to kind of fix themselves out within the player base. Like that's what tells you when something needs to be buffed or nerfed. The first like day or 2 days doesn't really tell you anything. That's mostly a popularity thing. But like Karen was broken. At least the fact that the ability would trigger after the reincarnation, that was broken. And I'm sure they thought about it beforehand. Like I'm 100% sure that when designing it, they were like, oh yeah, like this is how this should work. And then upon seeing it in action, they were like, well, nothing else is this good. Literally nothing else is this good. I mean, that happens whether you're creating a card game or a magic system for a cartoon. Like there's always gonna be something that you're like, oh, we gotta fix that because it's accidentally way cooler than we thought it was gonna be. And it was. I cherished every moment of that version of Karen.
That's a very nice way of putting it, I think.
It was busted, man.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good, man. I'm sorry. I just says that. Is that Vinny from Atlantis?
I have no idea.
It's pretty good, man. I'm gonna find a clip. Just nobody
God.
at me. I'll be fine.
I don't know what it is. Oh, but yeah, this is another thing too. So talking about Cairn, and you already mentioned, yeah, there was already a major tournament that we had for Mercenaries. Mercenaries was part of the global Inn-vitational. So yeah, it's like they launched the mode. They came out with multiple updates, multiple new mercenaries, changes, an official big major tournament, because of course there were some, and there have been a handful of, third-party tournaments, community-run tournaments, but the fact that they had a major tournament was just like mind-blowing to me. I didn't expect something like that so soon after they launched the mode.
I didn't either, and you ran or hosted or assisted in a different smaller tournament, didn't you?
Yeah, I casted the day after Mercenaries launched. We did a second day game mode tournament in Mulahu, and I casted. So yeah, it was so much fun, and I loved casting it. But seeing like the major tournament aspect of it and all of the production and all of the things that went into creating. I mean, obviously, since it was 3 different game modes, there was a lot of different stuff, but even just looking at the prep that the players put in for the Mercenaries tournament itself and just seeing all of that was just really cool. And I do hope that there's more. They didn't mention anything about Mercenaries in the like official HS Esports announcement stuff, but maybe there's going to be something that they'll do in the future.
I'm definitely excited to hear about that, or hear that there won't be. You know, either way is fine. I'm just super curious about all those things at all times. I know we were chatting about it earlier. I'm like, what did they want for this game mode? Do they want it to be a big PvP thing, or because like this is the biggest PvE thing that I have seen, or at least taken part of. I know there's like the Book of Heroes and like the Book of whoever, wherever, whenever. I don't mean to sound like rude. I just never clicked on any of them. I did do PvE stuff back when there was like Nax Ramus and stuff, like way back when, to like get those cards. But this is like the biggest PvE thing that I've taken a part of in forever. And so if the main focus of it is supposed to be PvE, then well done. Well done. I mean, well done either way. But I'm curious because I just like to ask questions for the sake of asking questions.
Well, it's good to know like their goals and stuff with it too, right? If they want it to be a PvE thing like you're saying, then even the fact that they went out and did the major tournaments or have done so many patch updates and adjusted PvP things and adjusted PvP ratings is like, is that what they want? Or is that just what they're fixing for the community? It's always very interesting to look at that kind of stuff. Even like I have a feeling you might feel the same, but like even just as a content creator myself, looking at things from the other perspective of like, well, this is what I wanted this project, this podcast, this stream, this YouTube video, whatever, to be about. But then, as I did it more, or as, more people found my content, it's kind of evolved and changed. And how do I balance between what I want things to be and what the people, using the content or enjoying the content want? So it's, it's very interesting to maybe get more insight as to what they hope or what they want from the mode as well.
Agreed. And they have promised us some stuff. As far as, things that came out in patch notes and things that we'd like to see in Mercenaries come in the next year. As like our next little topic thing. I'm super excited for the training hall, which I feel like gives benefit for PvP and PvE stuff for multiple reasons. So like, I just, I get everything I want there. And for anybody that's missed any patch notes or any previous episodes, they told us that the training hall would be added in a future patch, and it will be a place where your mercenaries can gain XP throughout the day without you having to have them in your party while you are going through bounties. So like, I think that is very cool for PvE, because there's someone that you need, for a specific bounty. Like if someone's come up with a comp and then you're like, oh, I need to finish this heroic bounty. This mercenary is not strong enough. You can put them in there and use them eventually for that, like while you're farming PvP. At least I think that's how it's going to work. But then also vice versa. Like just a super useful addition there.
Yeah, it's so interesting because they didn't really they were kind of vague on how it actually works, right? Like you pretty much read the statement. Like that was right. It. They were just like, this is going to be a thing where you get passive XP. And everyone's like, yay, what does that mean? Woo! I don't know. Are we excited? Are we not excited? Is this something we have to watch? How does this work? So yeah, hopefully we will get more information on that sooner rather than later, because that's definitely something that I know we've been talking about. But yeah, I'm very interested in the training hall as well, because I think especially for if it works like the way that we think it will, especially for like free to play players, that seems like such a great way to help them level their mercenaries, or try to potentially, I don't know if it'll be a way to like get new mercenaries, but even just being able to level their mercenaries that they do have to try to get other ones, or maybe they can earn a pack here and there, and then, hey, cool, now I can just play a little more casually and level up these mercenaries as I go. It's just another way for people to be engaged in the mode, and that just feels like a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. Especially since I don't think it'll have anything to do with coins. So we're not really worried about people who previously have had to grind for all these coins, just having all of their hard work thrown out the window. Like I'm assuming that it'll just have to do with leveling from 1 to 30. Then you can pull your mercenary out, drop them in your comp, and then hop into PvP or into one of those heroic that now, if they're legendary, you can go to specific bounties for that. Shout out to them. Small clap for that. That was an amazing addition. And do that. So there's probably going to be no gaining of passive coins, but honestly, that's okay, because that would also be busted.
We'll get to my wish list here, Fred, but before... we'll talk about that. But what else are you hoping to see, or would you like to see for Mercenaries in 2022? Oh man, I don't know why my tongue does not want to form that full year for some reason. 2022. It just wants to stop. Like 2020. Wait, that already
I'm just
happened.
Gonna start calling it 22, like for the whole of next year. Yeah, what are you doing February 22? Yes. Like what? They're gonna be like 22. I'm like, no, 2022. We're gonna find some abbreviation for it. I don't know. Things that I would like to see or have thought about that I find interesting or conceptually intriguing. I believe we might have brought it up in a previous episode, but to harp on it, currency trading ? And I say question mark because I haven't figured out in my brain how I want to make it work. But using examples from other people, like say they have all of their mercenaries maxed out, and they've also been completing bounties, so they've been gaining coins for these mercenaries that are maxed out. And then Blizzard releases a new 3-4 mercenary update, right? None of the coins that have been collected for these maxed out mercenaries can be used for absolutely anything. And so in my brain, I'm like, it'd be really nice if I could trade some legendary coins for some legendary coins for another mercenary, and or epic, rare, etc., etc. But at the same time, I'm wondering how would that work? Because it would, in my opinion, it would defeat the purpose of having to go specific places for specific people's coins. Which I wouldn't mind. Like if it was just here's a pile of a few legendary coins, 2 piles of epic coins, 3 piles of rare coins. Use them how you will. Use them as you wish. I wouldn't be mad at that, because then I could just put them wherever the heck I wanted them. But over these, past 2 months, things have been so drastically different than that. Like I was saying earlier, it might be a slight turnoff. Like, oh, hey, I had to grind this character out by doing this task 42 times in a row, potentially not even getting any coins at first. And now we can just trade them wherever. And while I say that, it kind of, falls into the sunk cost fallacy. Like no time is ever completely in a negative way. Like if you've done it, you've done it. If you haven't, you haven't. There was no guarantee of things being one way or another. So if you waited to see what was going to happen, then you were just behind if it didn't. Yeah, some sort of currency trading, because dust is the I don't even want to say the bridge to that gap in standard, but when I dust a card, I can simply make another card that I want to use. I mean, if it's golden, I get the full cost, etc., etc. I don't want to go into the nitty gritty small details there, but if you dust enough cards, you can just make cards that you want. You don't have to get, I don't have to go find arcane intellect dust, because that'd be weird, right? That wouldn't really make any sense. Especially if I'm wanting to fix a very, very specific composition. I'm like, wow, I really just need enough coins to get this one treasure to level 4. Can't find those, or can't get enough of them. Yeah. Why can't I just trade? I'm not saying it's a perfect thought, but I feel like it's a valid question, and I'd love to see, a reason why or why not. Just to toss the idea out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's so hard, because I feel like a lot of times we've compared, the packs or just the way things work to the other modes, especially standard, which is there's pros and cons to that, right? Of course, that's what we know for Hearthstone, so it's easy to make those comparisons or be like, well, this is the way it works. kind of like the, 36, well, last year I got 37. Why are we, why don't we have this thing in Mercenaries? Well, it's brand new, so we got to give it a chance. And it works differently, right? Like it's different, but at the same time, it's really hard not to make comparisons like that or draw parallels. I think whether it's even another game mode or another game itself, that's how things are created, right? That these ideas came from somewhere, so they're taking those same ideas and reinventing it for its own mode within Hearthstone. And yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you, though. I would love to see some sort of currency trading or something, like even just have it at the rarity where, maybe some of the time you just find, 10 legendary coins, and then you can use that on whichever legendary you want. Yes, that would be great. It would just become more flexible for more people to be able to do more with the mode. And I'm all about that, right? The more people that can do what they want with it seems good.
Seems good. Does seem good. I agree 100%.
So, and as for me, I know you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording, and I think you've mentioned this before, but you have not played World of Warcraft.
Correct. I have played effectively 0 hours of World of Warcraft.
And that is totally fine. And there probably are a lot of our listeners potentially that also have not played, and that's totally fine. If you want to, if you're like, what is she talking about? You can just Google it, and you should be able to find some stuff. But in World of Warcraft, during one of the expansions, they had what were called garrisons. Now, these were like personal towns, like personal little, your own little thing that you did. And a lot of people didn't like them. They weren't super popular in the game. But players like me who for me, I'm very I just liked going in and doing the professions, I like going around and then picking flowers and making potions, or going around and mining and then crafting stuff. I wasn't really into doing raids and being part of the big multiplayer stuff, which is again why I play card games. I I'm very I just want to do my thing, and it's a very personal experience. It's not I'm not somebody who really does well with multiplayer games. So one thing that they had in Garrisons were these boards. They were kind of quest boards, but you had these followers basically. So the relation here would be these mercenaries, and you would have multiple options of these a quest adventure things that you could send some followers to. So let's say you had 10 followers and you had a difficult quest that needed 4 different followers. You could assign 4 followers to go do that. And it would actually have a real-time completion thing. It would say, okay, well, they'll be back with this. You have an 80% chance to get the chest reward or whatever. And they'll be back from completing that in 18 hours from now. And then cool, you just assign them and then you go on your way. And then maybe you have an easy one that's hey, you only need 2. Well, okay, so you assign another 2. So you've now used 6 of your 10 followers, and they're sent on their way. And then when the time's up, you can go back to the board and you can click and see if you got the rewards. I personally think something to that effect, and maybe that's something like what the training hall is going to do. I don't know. But I think for me, I would love to see something like that for Mercenaries. I think it would, there's a couple reasons. It would be a reason to log in more frequently, right? It would, hey, in 18 hours or after 6 hours, for maybe an easier quest or adventure or whatever, your mercenaries are going to be coming back with the treasure that they found on their little, their little adventure there. So it would give you a reason to log in. we do have the task board, but I don't know. I feel like some players log in for that, but honestly, I've even stopped. Like, it doesn't feel necessary to log in every day. Like, I will just log in when I'm gonna log in to play. I don't need to log in to do those tasks, but I might log in to check something like that quest. Ooh, hey, what did they bring back? What reward did I get for doing that? And then, oh well, I'm already here. Yeah, maybe I'll do a PvP match, or hey, I want to do a bounty real quick or something. So I feel like just a reason to log more frequently. It'd be a reason to use or to level more mercenaries, right? If you have some that say, hey, you have to have 3 level 25 mercenaries to assign here. Oh, well, that's a reason to level up some more. Level up ones that you don't want to use for PvP. You know, if you had to, like, let's say it took them out of your pool of mercenaries you could use. Maybe it wouldn't, but, you know, whatever. It would be a reason to actually level some stuff. And it would just be another way to get rewards. Right? Hey, you found a chest that has some coins, and each of the mercenaries that participated in that quest or that adventure got some experience. Cool. I would be happy with that. Or maybe even that would be another way to incorporate tasks. Maybe you can say there's special quests for, I don't know, like going off of some of our previous comps or warbands. There's some beat a fire elemental, and so you have to take, somebody that's got some abilities that do well versus fire. And then you get a task for those specific mercenaries. You don't have to grind out and find the mysterious stranger. Maybe you can get a task that way. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas, but I think there could be so much potential with that, and maybe that something like that is going to be in the training hall, but that's my idea.
I think that's pretty cool. The only thing that I have similarly, I don't even want to say worded, the only thing that I can relate to from that is I play Clash Royale on mobile. I know a lot of people know Clash of Clans, but not necessarily Clash Royale. But either way, when you win a match, Clash Royale, you get a chest. And there's small chests that open up in like 3 hours, and then there's larger chests that can open up in 8 hours, and there's even larger chests that'll give you like legendary cards that'll open up after a day. And then there's like 2 chests that take 12 hours. Doesn't matter. Point is, I almost always have one of those things unlocking throughout the day. Like, I will plan my day, not my whole day, right? But if I'm like, oh, I'll be home for the next, 3 or 4 hours, I'll unlock a 3-hour chest, and then like before I have to go to work or before I stream, I'll log back in and do basically exactly what you said. Like, oh, I'm already here, I might as well, play a game, see if I can get a new chest, and seeing as I just unlocked one. So it's like slightly different, but kind of the same concept.
Yeah.
So I like it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've played quite a bit of Clash Royale myself. There's a lot of mobile games in general that do that. And I mean, Hearthstone is a great mobile game itself too, especially if you can do something like the Mercenaries, or like, I don't know if you were playing at the time, or if you remember when they made it so that you could do like solo adventure stuff offline. Or that, like, the point when if you were doing a solo adventure, like, let's say, one of those runs, and you got disconnected or something in the middle of a fight, the next time you loaded back in, it would actually reconnect you to that. And I think for a lot of people who played, while they were commuting to work on, in public transit, right? Like on a plane or train or the bus or something, and then all of a sudden they were out of range and they lost internet or something. They knew they could play those kind of things. That would be a great point to play PvE content, and they could go back to it the next time that they were going to jump back in. And like, yeah, I think something like that, or having those reasons like, hey, yeah, cool, I've got some time here, I want to jump in and like, yeah, just see what reward I get here. It's great incentive for people to log in more frequently and visit that. And yeah, definitely a lot of mobile games do that for sure.
I love mobile games. I mean, I just love games, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we all do, right? We all love games. And yeah, it's like, I don't know. For me, I just feel like there's such an opportunity there to draw people in. I can't even remember. Like, I think there's even like rotating time-wise, like leaderboards and special events and stuff in like, even in games like Clash of Clans or Clash Royale, right? They do like miniature events.
oh yeah, almost
like,
all the time.
Yeah. And those are always
not...
timed and stuff, so they're more incentive for people to log in during those.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. So like, I mean, the one that's going right now ends in like 5 hours, 6 hours. And it's not like a ranked one. It was just called like the Mega Deck Challenge. And so they put this random mode in there where instead of an 8-card deck, you use a 32-card deck and try to win. And then the next one that's going to come up is like 2 times Elixir tournament. So you're never in single Elixir time. But at least once a month, if not twice a month, there's a challenge that goes on where there is a leaderboard, and you get 5 losses before you're out, and it tracks how many wins you get, and those are actually kind of big for being small events. Like you'll get on sometimes, and sometimes the person in first place will be playing, and you'll see like 700 people watching the match, and it's like not a televised thing, not a big esports thing, it's just a random like monthly challenge match, and everyone's like, oh, what deck are they using? Oh my gosh, like, oh, they're ranked number 1, they have 32 wins, the next closest is 27. Like, of course they're going to take the whole tournament. So those are pretty cool. I enjoy them.
Oh yes, yeah, that kind of reminds me too, going back into like comparing to Hearthstone. Have you ever participated, see, they haven't done one in a while now, when they had the like heroic Brawl, where it was like you could pay 1,000 gold or whatever to enter, and you locked in, but you got like crazy good rewards if you got like up to the 12 wins and didn't lose out in 3 losses.
Yeah, so I pretty much only do Brawl now if it's heroic, which means I just don't do Brawl. Which is not like a I don't know, a bash on Brawl. I don't log in for it. I know it gives me a pack, and I used to log in once every week for that, but no, the heroic brawls are really nice. I love anything that's super difficult. Like, that's like my MO. If I could just sit down and people are like, okay, here's a game, you're playing it for this month, super hardcore mode only, I'd be like, I'm down. I really enjoying the heroic brawls after I finally figured out how to get 12 wins in the arena. Not that there's a formula, but that's what I was doing. Like, oh, I can get 12 wins in the arena. Oh, I could win a heroic brawl.
Yeah.
And so yeah, good times, great times.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that would be cool to see. At least every once in a while, it's just timed things like that. For events like you were talking about with the other mobile games, just things like similar to that. Again, to give people reason to log back in, because I do feel like a lot of the interest for Mercenaries is really dropping. And a lot of other creators have said this too, like that their viewership for the mode is kind of dropping a bit. Now, I would be interested. You were talking about you'd love to hear like what the team intended or what their goals are. Like, I would love to see the numbers like behind the scenes. Are the numbers on Blizzard's side like reflecting that as well? Or are there still a lot of people that are playing Mercenaries, they're just not consuming like content around it? I don't know. I personally don't really feel like, in terms of our podcast, that we've actually seen a change. So huge shout out to all of you listening. Thank you so much for listening every week. But it's just like an interesting thing. I think you might have said it before we started recording, or maybe early in the recording, but how it's like when it came out, it was this new thing, right? There was a lot of fresh interest, and then just slowly over time, and this is for a lot of things, right? It's not just this, but kind of slowly over time, interest starts fading a little bit. We also, again, hit the like super busy part of the year for most people. So I definitely would be interested to see if maybe a couple of things that get people excited about the mode again, or give them reason to log in again more frequently, in addition to no more holiday craziness and stuff, brings a lot of those numbers and audience back.
For sure. It's actually like a personal miniature special interest of mine. I don't talk about it very often, but like figuring out why people like things, like in general, I guess. So for example, like team fight tactics is a thing. And then like we have battlegrounds, right? So like why do people like, I think that's the correct version that I'm talking about. Like why do people like one versus the other? Or like battle royales, right? Like Fortnite was the biggest thing for the longest time, and Call of Duty existed, right? PUBG existed, all these things existed, right? But then Warzone came out, and that was insane. Warzone came out after Apex, yet Apex got, we'll say, quote unquote, big after Warzone. Like there was definitely already a pro scene in Apex, but then all of a sudden it was like 3, 4, 5 big Warzone players were like, you know what, we're gonna try Apex, and now Apex is booming, like absolutely going crazy. We have Hearthstone, and I tested out Storybook Brawl, which I guess is technically more like Battlegrounds as opposed to competitive, but like Hearthstone versus Magic the Gathering versus what's it called, Legends of Runeterra. What makes those games not good? Because I think you can have a really good game that's not like super massively the most popular. Like what makes people enjoy things? And so like Mercenaries is a game mode that I haven't seen much like or played much like. So all of the ideas that I have, I don't want to say they're out in left field, but it's all personal preference, right? When I'm like, oh, I don't like this, I'm like, I don't know if the general public doesn't like this or if I just don't know what they intended, or what. So like maybe the mode's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and it's just never going to be my favorite thing. Or maybe it's just that new that they were like, we're going to throw it out there, see what happens, then fix it based off of user comments, which I can respect. Honestly, you gave me a thing to try. I'd rather that than have everything just be stale for 5 ever until you have a perfect product, because that might never happen, right? But everything's always in alpha and beta because you have to try stuff. Yeah, I love to do research, and I mean, I don't really have a platform where I can do like interviews and surveys and stuff like that. But if I did, I would use it because I love to figure stuff like that out.
Yes, it's very fascinating. To hear reasoning and things like that. And I'm sure that they have a whole team that does stuff like that. But, on at least for us on our end, if you have any input on things like this, we definitely would love to hear it. Let us know on, all of our socials. We'll plug that in just a minute here. But, we love having the conversations. Absolutely. And hearing all this stuff. So, keep that conversation going. And in terms of our conversation, is there anything else that you want to see for 2022 for Mercenaries, or anything else that you want to talk about before we do our wrap up?
I think just for Hearthstone in general, I think it'd be cool to see some challenges. I don't know that other games do this or anything, or like maybe we can just do it on the content creator side, but I don't know, beating some challenges with all like all casters or something like that, even though it's like a fighter build is going to be your boss. I don't know if that even be possible. Winning a certain amount of matches in a day, like how when you go into, I don't even know what it's called, but in the Hearthstone there's all those tons of achievements you can get, or some of them are like, use so many beasts for hunter, or use so many whatever. I think there's stuff like that for Mercenaries that involve, like, obviously that's where you get some of your what is it called, equipment, right? When you get to level 30, you go through and you're like, oh, get this one to level 30, you got your equipment, this, that, and the other. Like that's what I used to, when I used to play Destiny 2 a lot, I would watch that kind of content on YouTube where people would go through stuff solo, or see how many wins they could get in a row in some sort of event without dying, or see if they could use a build that was way off meta in order to complete things. I think that'd be fun, especially for a mode that's like seemingly not super PvP centered. Like, what's the most fun way that we can complete some of this stuff?
Yeah.
If that even is fun. Maybe it's not fun. Maybe that's just torture and no one wants to do it. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
No, I think that just that feeds a different style of player than what they usually target. But there's definitely interest for that. I mean, even there's a lot of people who do like achievement hunting or even like meme stuff, or try to make crazy combos work that are just like so ridiculous and yeah, they're probably a meme, but there are definitely people who do that kind of stuff. So that would be interesting. It would definitely play off of more of like the fun and goofy aspect of the game.
That makes sense.
Which, not a bad thing. It's a game. It should be fun, right?
I agree, for sure. So that's all I have. I think everything's going pretty well, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. I'm excited to see if there's any more tournaments. I'm excited to see if tournaments get as big as the World Championship, because those are all fun. I would like to see everything back on Twitch though, whether it's standard or battlegrounds or mercenaries or invitational. I feel like viewership for stuff like that is higher on Twitch, and that would make it easier to like ask some of these community questions like in between matches or in between competition days. That's just something that I've noticed. It's not like nobody watches on YouTube or nobody goes to YouTube to find that stuff, but you can do all kinds of crazy polls and things like that on Twitch, and I feel like the viewership for a lot of Hearthstone stuff is higher when it is on Twitch.
Oh yes, it's something that a lot of people have noticed. I will say, just for the sake of like, definitely not going to dive into that. That's a whole other conversation that has a lot of depth to it. But they did say on Twitter that the YouTube contract ends at the end of 2022. So I'm sure things will probably change after that. Who knows? And then I did see somewhere as well that said the Battleground stuff is going to be on YouTube and Twitch. So I'm sure that that will bring in a lot of audience as well.
Well, awesome. I didn't even realize that was a contractual thing. It makes sense, but yeah. I didn't realize it. So yeah, hopefully that'll all come together then. Looking forward to it.
Yes. I think that is going to be it for us this week. So, if you, again, want to be part of the conversation, let us know any of your thoughts, ideas. What do you want to see for Mercenaries in 2022? Let us know. But you can find the show on YouTube, everywhere you can find audio podcasts, and on Twitter at Spirit Healer Pod. Or you can send us an email at spirithealerpodcast@gmail.com and jump in our Discord and chat there as well. We also want to thank Purrple Cat for the use of the amazing music we use for the show. And to find more from each of us, you can find me on Twitter at DawnieDK, DAWNIEDK, twitch.tv/DragonriderDK, and DragonriderDK on YouTube as well. And talking all things standard Hearthstone over at the Dr. 3HS podcast. And then, Cinder isn't here this week, but he's been very active all over Twitter still. So check him out over on Twitter at Cinder Ascendant. And where can folks find more from you, Siimba?
Dispersed upon the interwebs under the username SiimbaTV_. You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all those good places. Themes, motivation, good vibes, and then hopefully soon a lot more clips and things like that on YouTube. I just started up a Hearthstone specific YouTube channel. It is under Siimba Stone. I still need to figure out how to get the header logo, but it's gonna be cool. And I built it, one for me because I always play the game, but a lot for, we'll say, everyone else, right? I know people make content on YouTube for everyone else, but like, I want to do stuff that people want to see. If we want to see meta decks, if we want to see off meta decks, if we need mercenary comps, if we need stuff in battlegrounds where you win 4 games in a row, I don't know, whatever anybody wants to see, I want to try to do it, because I've been playing the game for so long that like the little personal achievements and accolades, like just getting a win now, you know what I mean, it's not as I don't want to say fulfilling, but like it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I've hit legend, I've hit 6, 7, 8K in battlegrounds. Mercenaries are still a lot to dive into. I want to try to do stuff for people that have also been around for a long time and finding stuff that we haven't seen. And I know there's a lot of people that do some great stuff in like the wild mode, but hopefully the Hearthstone channel will end up being very fun for everyone, myself included.
Yes, absolutely. And I know we all have a lot here on the show that we're doing personally and things that we're going for in 2022. We talked about what we wanted to see in Mercenaries in 2022, but that is going to be it for this week. And we will see you next week when it is officially 2022. Thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing us as your resting place of choice. Okay, I'm stopping my recording.